Hey everybody, Techie 101 here. Let's talk some Naruto today. So spoilers in case you haven't read the recent Naruto chapter. I forget which number it was, but it was entitled Shinju. So yeah, if you haven't read that chapter yet, I strongly urge you to go watch it because it's a little bit creationist story, exactly where chakra came from, and it's kind of an interesting read, if nothing else. The Ten Tails turns out to be a giant tree. Damn, I spoiled it. I mean, it had to come from somewhere. I mean, you wanted to say just like all of a sudden, like these people were just born with power, and all of a sudden this Sage of Six Paths showed up and said, hey, by the way, you can use this power to spit fireballs and shoot lightning and make clay bombs and summon a giant ethereal guardian to cut down your enemies and make eye jutsus, you know? Like it makes sense it had to come from somewhere, but really, you know, my thoughts on that are really just about, it's more of a creationist story, if nothing else. And while reading it, I was just like sitting there reading like blatantly. I'm like, Kishi, really? You're basically just gonna rip off the Book of Genesis here, because that's essentially what it was. You know, like I'm reading that, and I'm just like, okay, so there was a tree that people worshipped as God, and then it bore a fruit, and then the humans were not allowed to eat the fruit. It was forbidden. Forbidden by whom, I'm not sure. Maybe they just figured, oh, God tree. Maybe let's just not fuck with the God tree. Let's just leave it alone. So then all of a sudden there was like this big battle, which I guess it was kind of justified, because in Genesis it's just like, the snake tempts Eve, and then out of Eve's curiosity she eats the fruit, and then that pretty much fucks over mankind for the rest of eternity. In the Naruto creationist myth, it was basically just like, oh, I have to end this war, and there's nothing that I can do to end this war, so might as well do the one thing we're not allowed to do. See what happens, you know? It's like catastrophic failure on your cell phone. It's like everything dies, you've tried everything to turn it back on, it ain't turning back on, you're like, okay, I've tried everything, I'm going to try throwing it against something hard. Maybe that'll jar it back into, working again. I mean, everything tells me not to do this, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. So, and then after that, though, it's, in a sense, though, if you want to take it to, like, the more symbolistic view, you could look at, like, she actually did kind of screw mankind over in the same way that Eve did in the Genesis story, because if you look at it that way, she invented chakra, or gave chakra into humans, but in turn that also, well, for number one, it also gave human beings a way to kind of fight on a much larger scale battle. Like the war they interpreted in the story was basically just like humans didn't have chakra at this point, but it was just like they fought anyway, just like we would back in the, back in the olden times, back in like Babylonian or Mesopotamia, we'd fight with like freaking weapons and swords and whatnot. So, they fought anyway, but now, thanks to you, you basically gave them the ability to shoot lightning bolts and summon giant dragons at will, and snakes, and basically bring an entire ocean out of nothing. So yeah, congratulations. You did a good job there, Chica. So there's that, but you also kind of screwed him over when you look at it. Basically gave birth to the Ten Tails. Like, this is the whole reason the Ten Tails got pissed off. So you eat a fruit, the tree basically became sentient. I don't know if the tree was sentient to begin with, but the tree eventually became sentient, became the Ten Tails, and then I guess just, screwed around and went crazy, creating havoc for a couple of decades until the woman's son, the Sage of Six Paths, warded it away or figured out some method to suppress it somehow. We still don't know exactly how he did that. I mean, we know he had the Renegon, we know he sealed the carcass in the moon, but yeah, if you go back in time, the creationist stories in Naruto are kind of far out there, aren't they? A little bit. So, well, not that much far out when you look at modern religion today. I mean, wasn't there a creationist story once somewhere that said that I apologize if this is, offensive to anybody, but I remember reading a creation story before where the earth is basically sitting on a giant elephant, and the elephant is standing on a giant tortoise. I think that's how that goes, or maybe flip-flop. No, the first one sounds more plausible. But, yeah, so, anyway, so we look at it that way, and then the Sage of Six Paths saw the Ten Tails, and then he suppressed it and split it up into the Nine-Tailed Beasts. So the Nine-Tailed Beasts are the compilation of this, just a tree. So, yeah. One other thing that came to mind immediately after seeing that, though, or after realizing, like, where the Ten Tails came from, exactly what it really is. And, the thing is, I actually, thinking about, like, what's going to happen in the next couple chapters of Naruto, I'm basically thinking, Obito's going to succeed. Because, like, at this point, like, there's nothing that can freaking stop him. I mean, like, he mowed down an entire, group of shinobi in the last chapter without even freaking batting a thumb that had all, like, the Nine Tails chalk. Like, this guy is clearly at a point where it's just, like, it's cute that these little peons, insects, are going to try to stop me. And it's cute that Naruto, who's basically like the rat amongst insects, like, really, he's just a little bit more dangerous than the average ant. But he's still just a rat to me. I can just easily crush him just as simple as the other ones. So, it doesn't really seem like there's anyone that's going to stop him at that point. So I actually think he's going to succeed in creating the Infinite Tsukuyomi. And we might actually see the inside of the Infinite Tsukuyomi. Like, we might have, like, a scene where the Infinite Tsukuyomi happens, and, like, Naruto and Bee and all the survivors get, like, whisked away into, like, a magical fairy tale wonderland where everything is just, like, their ultimate fantasy. Like, Naruto has his parents and everyone's happy. Kakashi has Obito back to when he was normal and everyone's happy. Might Guy finally defeated Kakashi and everyone's happy. Like, I don't know, like, we might actually see that, and we might actually have a really cool twist where the characters all realize that they are in an Infinite Tsukuyomi, but it's so nice and it's so pleasant there that they don't want to leave, so they have to overcome this, or they have to overcome the Genjutsu. So I can actually see that going down. That might actually seem like a cool plot twist there. But yeah, so there's that. And there's something else I wanted to make about this. So really, that's really some of the things I wanted to discuss about the chapter, really. Just how... it wasn't a bad chapter. It wasn't even really a bad plot twist. When the Ten Tails was first revealed, way back in, like, I think it was, like, in the Five Kage Summon arc. Yeah, it was actually when, actually, no, that's over that's behind me. So, when, Obito shows up and he's like, okay, this is my Tsukino Mi. This is my Moon's Eye plan. I don't have to explain it to any of you. In fact, it's probably better I keep you all in the dark about this so you can't stop me. But fuck it anyway. I'm tired of keeping this a secret for so long. So, basically, I'm going to resurrect the Ten Tails by gathering all the Nine Tails species. That story was a little bit hard to believe at first, because it's just like, okay, wait a second. There was another tail beast that no one ever knew about before. It was never mentioned before, even by people that apparently knew the true history behind everything, like Itachi and Nagato. No one ever even mentioned this thing before until now, so that was a little bit hard to believe. But the whole chakra... birth, creation story, that was that bad. It kind of came out of nowhere, because we're in the middle of this huge epic fight, and then all of a sudden Madara is just a Hashirama, just like, hey, you guys want to know, like, how chakra came to be? Well, you see, back in my day, there was a thing called the Stone of Infinite Wisdom, or whatever the fuck is that thing's called, and it said that it's like blah blah blah. I mean, so yeah, sure, it was weird, but it kind of came out of left field, out of nowhere, but it wasn't a bad story. I mean, it took its inspirations from clearly a bunch of other famous creationist stories, but it all works out in the end, so really. So yeah, that's really anything I wanted to say about the recent chapter of Naruto. There's something else I really wanted to bring up, and this doesn't have anything to do... Well, it kind of has some stuff to do with the Ten Tails. It has to do with the tailed beasts, in a sense. But it's something that I'm probably never going to get another chance to talk about in terms of a video, so I really want to discuss this here. Okay, so basically how this goes is the backstories to the certain Jinchuriki, and conversely, the backstories to the different tailed beasts. And it kind of ticks me off, because some of the more interesting ones we don't know anything about in terms of Jinchuriki or tailed beasts. My favorite Jinchuriki, guess who it is? You're not gonna... It's Han. Han. You don't know who that is? I bet you're thinking, like, who is that? Han. What? Is he like 7 or is he 4? No, Roshi was 4. Was he the turtle guy? No, he was the Five Tails. That's who he was. Oh, I'll show you a picture of him. Wait, no, there is no picture of him, because guess what? No one gives a shit about Han. That's the sad thing. I'm like, he is like one of the coolest looking characters in the entire series. Look at this guy. He's all decked out in armor, which we didn't even know what it was at first until like a little bit of supplemental material like trickled down in the data books and through interviews with Kishi and with just random like mentions and chapters that no one cares about. But yeah, look at this dude. He's like built like 6'5". He's got this awesome armor, that steam armor, which he probably made himself somehow. And his tail beast is a freaking dolphin horse. Like right there, dolphin horse. That kind of comes out of left field, right? It's like it goes like a raccoon, cat, turtle, monkey, dolphin horse, slug, Ox, beetle, then ox with octopus tentacles, and then a fox. You know, you're thinking like dolphin horse, kind of comes out of left field. And the only reason I'm bringing this up right now is because my other favorite tail beast is Jinchuriki is Fu, and my friend plays. We all play Ultimate Ninja 3. Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 whenever I go down his house, and that was a really cool game for me because it gave you the option to play as some of the Jinchuriki, even the ones that we don't know hardly anything about. And so I'm playing the game, and every time I'm actually pretty good with Han and Fu. I kick ass with them. So whenever I play as them, and every time I win, I inevitably say to my friends, why isn't there a backstory for these guys? These guys, like Fu and Han, are like the least developed Jinchuriki. We know like nothing about them at all. Like we know a little bit, like even with Yugito, we know a little bit about Yugito. We've at least seen her fight, like in real time, in like the actual story. Like we have never, like aside from being resurrected, and I'm not talking about the resurrection, I'm not talking about the Edo Tensei, because they're basically mindless puppets. I'm talking about actually seeing them do something, or like actually getting history, like with Yagura. We didn't actually see Yagura fight, but we got the filler arc in the anime, and I'm going to get to the filler arc with Udataka in a second here, but we got the filler arc in the anime with that kid who wasn't Yagura, but apparently had kind of a resemblance of Yagura, or he was very similar, he was like his long-lost twin brother or something, and we got a little bit of delving to the Three Tails there. With Yugito, we got to see the fight against Hidan. With Udataka, we got the whole filler arc with Udataka, which they actually link that back in the anime, like in recent episodes, when Udataka actually shows up in like the Tail Beast Psyche, they actually link that back to when he first showed up. At least we get to see them in the anime. Han and Fu didn't even get a filler arc in the anime. Like, we know nothing about them, what they were like beforehand, except like what village they were from, and their basic attack strategies. You know, that's all we know, essentially. And it's a real shame, too, because I mean, like, look at Fu. Like, let's take a look at Fu here. Fu is the Seven Tails Jinchuriki. Like, okay, Seven Tails. And it's implied, very heavily implied, that it was one of the very first tail beasts that the Akatsuki got their hands on. Because by the time of Part 2, even if you want to look at Part 2 in the anime, which the anime kind of messes everything up because, like Udataka was apparently one of the captured ones before Part 2, but now in Part 2 he wasn't because of, like, Pain had to capture him in the filler arc. But even in the anime of Part 2, it's heavily implied that Han's Five Tails and Fu's Seven Tails were the ones that were first captured. Like, it goes Naruto 9, which they never got a hand on him because, you know, we all know what happened there. You know, B is the A-Tails. You see what a big problem he was. They never got his hands on A. And then apparently Fu was extraordinarily easy to capture. I mean, she has a very, very boastful personality. Very not hot-headed. Just very, I'm great at everything. I'm so awesome. I can do anything. And maybe that's what led to her downfall. But I would like to know. You know, it's just like and the Seven Tails is an insect. You know, it's just weird because all the other Jinchuriki are like animals, you know, and then we get to Fu's, who's an insect. I'm like, oh, damn, an insect. And we've seen when it was younger, it was clearly a larval stage. So what? Does it have different larval stages? Can it turn into like, does it cocoon itself? Does it become like this? Does it like, and you can have like a whole different like slew of attacks around this thing. Yeah, does it lay eggs? You can have it spit poison. Or I'm like, my God, I'm having a fangasm just thinking about it. You can't build an entire story around this. And with Han, too, like, the steam armor, like, what was his journey like? You know, like where did he develop the steam armor? Is it a Kekkei Genkai? I mean, I guess it is, but we don't know. I mean, did he start out as a Jinchuriki? Like, when did he become a Jinchuriki? And granted, these are questions we don't know a lot about the other Jinchuriki. We don't know exactly how Roshi or Han or Udataka, I already talked about Han, or Yugito actually became Jinchuriki. We don't know much about their story, but at least it's alluded to a little bit. You know, it's just like the most Han ever spoke in the entire series in canon was they were in the Tail Beast Psyche, and his entire dialogue consisted of, I'm Han. I'm Fu. That's it. You know, I'm just saying, you know, give him a filler arc, give him something, give him a little bit of backstory. Even Roshi's backstory was implied as like he's a traveling hermit who was a Jinchuriki for 40 damn years of his life. Like the bulk of his life, he was a Jinchuriki, and you know, we kind of got a little bit of resemblance that Son Goku's relationship with Roshi wasn't that great, but you know, it was at least something. At least we got a little bit of an illusion. We don't know nothing about Xiaomi's relationship to Fu or Coco's relationship to Han or anything like that. it's just sad because I know I'm kind of like fanboying the fuck out here. I mean, like, I'm going crazy over this shit, and you're probably sitting there thinking like, Tekking, dude, calm down, okay? It's just, calm down. I'm just like, no, I won't, because it's like Kishi goes out of his way to design these really cool looking characters, and out of all the Jinchuriki, Han and Fu are probably arguably the coolest looking just in appearance, or, you know, like where they came from and everything, and we still don't got nothing. What's that thing on Fu's back for? Like that weird backpack thing she's always trekking around? Like, what's that for? Just so many questions. I mean, I don't read fan fiction. I don't. Fan fiction actually tends to make my head explode because I'm so used to continuity. I'm so used to everything being explained or like a puzzle piece fitting together, and fan fiction just comes and just like rips up the puzzle. Like it keeps part of the puzzle, but then it takes parts from a completely different puzzle and just crams it in there. So now you got like a spaceship when you started off with like a goldfish. You know, it's just it's something that doesn't really fit, and it does not compute. You know. Like my friend the other day was telling me about this fan fiction with Naruto about Taiyuya becoming a good person and, you know, like coming back to the village and becoming an honorary kunoichi, and he was explaining this story to me, and it's just like, that contradicts this, Tekking 101 overload. But, I mean, I swear, I'm not into fan fiction, but I might actually have to do that, because that's probably the only damn way, because they're all gone now. Like the Jinchuriki, like they had their little mini section where Naruto goes and sees them and talks to them and learns their names, and we had all that, and then the Edo Tensei vanishes, and then they all go away, and we're probably not going to get any more about the Jinchuriki. They already had their little mini arc, so we're done with that probably. We might get like a couple more mentions, but that's it. I'm probably going to have to go and freaking, we're certainly not going to get a flashback, so I'm probably going to go look at some fan fiction on this shit. And there's probably not going to be any fan fiction, you know, like, not very many, you know, because they're not really main titular characters. But if you guys, if anyone out there, you know, is good at fan fiction, likes to write a good fan fiction, come up with something for Han or Fu. You know, you can come up with something, you can come up with so much shit on there. Like, he has steam armor, like, where did he build it? How did he build it? How does it function? Does it siphon off his chakra? Is it a Kenkai Genkai? You know, with like how did he meet Kokuo? What's his relationship with Kokuo? Same thing for Fu, you know, what's her relationship with the Waterfall Village? And the Kages, that's another thing, like, the freaking Kages, okay? Like, we know all these guys now. Like, like, what was, Roshi and Han were both from the village hidden in the stones. What was the relationship to Onoki? You know, Fu was from the Waterfall Village. Why does she get a Jinchuriki? I thought the Jinchuriki were all about portioning out power of the Biju to different nations. If that's the case, why did you give one to the Waterfall Village of all things? Like, maybe there was some kind of uprising or coup, or maybe they have some kind of weapon or threat, or maybe there's some major players back in the day, and that's why they needed a tail beast. See? I'm giving you, like, story material here. You know, you can go with this, run with this. You know, or, I don't know, anything, really. And that doesn't even really go with their respective jutsus at all, really. I mean, like you can look at, well, really, they do. Like most of the Jinchuriki's, you know, jutsus has to deal with the tail beast, but not necessarily. I mean, look at Killer B here. Killer B, you know, he's pretty good at lightning style jutsus and stuff, but Eight-Tailed Ox really hasn't done anything, hasn't shown to use lightning style or anything like that, so that's a difference. Naruto, of course, uses wind. You know, Kurama hasn't been shown to do anything like that, so you can do something with that. I'm just saying anything. You know, just give us something. You know, all we know about them is basically like what village they're from, what's their name, and what tail beast they are, and what their primary method of attack is. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So, yeah, that was a bit of a rant there for the second half of this video, so I apologize, but it's just like, I have that rant, like, every single time. Like, my friends, every time we play Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 and somebody plays as Han or Fu, or, you know, I'm always just like, it's like, why isn't there a backstory for these characters, damn it? They need some love! So, yeah. That was Tekking 101's fanboying moment for the evening. I think I'm actually going to go and, I think I'm actually going to go and watch some One Piece now. I need some One Piece balance in my life. I'm rewatching the beginning of the Alabasta arc, actually, on my DVDs that I have. I'm watching the Drum Island arc right now with everything. So it's one of my favorite arcs, actually, because something a little bit different. So thank you for watching, everybody. That's Teching 101's thoughts on the recent chapter of Naruto, as well as with the Jinchuriki backstories. This probably went over 15 minutes, so I'm probably going to do a link to my vlog channel, of course. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Teching 101 signing out, guys. Okay, see you.